I never asked my parents for money, but when they saw my $14 million bank balance, they shouted, "How could you hide this from us?" I simply smiled and replied, "Remember when you kicked me out?" I had told myself for years that I didn't need their approval. Or at least, that's what I tried to believe as I stood in my penthouse office, looking out at the glowing city below. An email had just appeared on my screen from my younger sister. "Mom and Dad are struggling. They need help with the mortgage. I know you probably can't spare much, but anything would help." I let out a dry laugh. If only they knew. 10 years earlier, when I was 18, I had stood in our small living room while my father's face turned red with anger. "Art school? You want to waste your life in art school?" he shouted, waving my acceptance letter as if it were poison. "We didn't raise you to be this foolish, Sarah." My mother sat silently on the couch, her hands folded in her lap as always. She never interfered during moments like this. She just disappeared into the background while my father's temper filled the room. "I got a scholarship," I said firmly, though my voice trembled, "and I've saved enough from part-time jobs to cover the rest." "Ridiculous," he barked, crushing the letter in his hand. "You're going to business school like your sister. End of discussion." But this time it wasn't the end. I stood my ground. No. That single word changed everything. His face darkened further. "Then get out. If you think you're smart enough to make it on your own, go ahead. But don't come crawling back when you fail." That night, I packed my bags. My hands were shaking, but my mind was made up. My sister Molin stood in her doorway watching, her eyes wide with confusion. "You're really leaving?" she whispered. "I have to," I said quietly, stuffing clothes into my duffel bag. "I can't keep living someone else's life." As I zipped the bag, my mother appeared in the doorway. For a moment, I thought she might stop me, might finally speak up against him. Instead, she handed me an envelope. "Your grandmother wanted you to have this when the time was right," she said softly. "I think that's now." Later that night, sitting in a cheap motel room trying not to cry, I opened it. "My dearest granddaughter," the letter began. "If you're reading this, you've finally chosen your own path. I always knew you would." The key enclosed belongs to box 247 at First National Bank. Inside, you'll find what you need to begin your journey. Remember, true art isn't just about beauty. It's about seeing value where others see none. Love, Grandma Rose. The next morning, I opened that safety deposit box with trembling hands. Inside were a few old jewelry pieces, some papers, and another letter. "These belonged to your great-grandmother," the note explained. "But they're not. Find Marcus Chen at Golden Age Antiques. He'll know their real worth." When Marcus finished examining the pieces, I nearly dropped the box. The costume jewelry turned out to be rare Art Deco pieces worth over $400,000. But the true gift wasn't the money. It was his offer. "I can see you understand the value of art," he said. "Would you like to learn the business?" That's how it all began. Marcus became my mentor. He taught me how to identify authentic pieces, how to negotiate, how to build relationships with collectors. While my family probably imagined I was waiting tables or barely surviving, I was laying the foundation for my future. 2 years later, I opened my first gallery. By year 5, I had 3. My reputation grew quickly. I had a talent for finding hidden treasures. 10 years later, I owned the largest private art dealership network in the country, with a personal net worth exceeding $14 million. My family never knew. I had made sure of that. The only glimpses they got were the modest social media posts I shared, a small apartment, a simple lifestyle. Occasionally, Molin would message me about job openings at her company, suggesting I might want real work. I kept up the illusion because it was easier than dealing with their sudden curiosity. But as I stared at her latest email about our parents' mortgage, I realized it was time to stop pretending. I picked up my phone. "Molin," I said when she answered, "bring Mom and Dad to my office tomorrow morning. We need to talk." "Your office?" she asked skeptically. "You mean the coffee shop where you work?" "No," I said, glancing around the spacious penthouse suite. "My real office. I'll text you the address." "Morgan Tower?" she laughed. "Sarah, you can't just show up there and act like you work in that building. Security won't even let you in." I smiled. "I had bought the building last year. Trust me," I said. "Just be there at 9 and bring the mortgage papers, all of them." The next morning, I watched from my window as they arrived in my father's old sedan. Even from 30 stories up, I could see their confusion as security led them to the private elevator, the one that only accessed the penthouse floor. "Your family is here, Miss Harrison," my assistant said through the intercom. "Send them in," I replied, turning toward the door. The look on their faces when they entered was priceless. My father froze mid-step. My mother held onto the doorframe for balance. Molin just blinked, as if the scene might vanish. The room spoke for itself. Original paintings worth millions hung on the walls. My desk, a restored Art Deco piece, gleamed under the lights, and through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city stretched out like a kingdom I had quietly built. "Sarah," my mother whispered, "what is this?" "This," I said evenly, "is my office. Welcome to Harrison Fine Arts and Acquisitions." My father's face flushed from red to purple. "Impossible. You're a barista or something. You post about struggling, about your apartment." I gestured toward a painting behind me, one I had bought for $500 that was now worth over $2 million. "Actually," I said calmly, "I'm the owner and CEO of the country's largest private art dealership network. Those posts were a story I let you believe." "But the Morgan Tower," Molin began. "Is mine," I finished. "Well, technically my company's, but since I own the company, yes, mine." My father's anger erupted. "How dare you hide this from us? We're your family." "Hide what?" I interrupted, my voice sharp. "My success, my independence, the fact that I proved you wrong?" I sat down at my desk, letting silence fill the room. Now, about that mortgage problem, no one spoke. My father's face had gone from purple to an alarming crimson. My mother ran her hand over the edge of my desk as though touching proof. Molin just stared at a Monet on the wall. I turned my laptop toward them. "Since we're being honest," I said, "here's my current balance." The screen displayed the number, $14,236,542. My mother gasped. My father's hand trembled. Molin dropped her designer purse. "This is why you're here," I continued, sliding a folder across the desk. "You're 3 months behind on the mortgage. The bank is preparing to foreclose." "How did you?" Molin began. "I own shares in that bank," I replied. "I know everything about your finances. Dad's failed investments, Mom's credit debt, your real estate losses." My father finally spoke. "You knew we were struggling and did nothing? To your own family?" I stood up, my tone steady. "Remember the night you kicked me out? You said, 'Don't come crawling back when you fail.' Well, I didn't. I built this on my own. No help, no support, no encouragement. Just hard work and the gift Grandma Rose left me." My mother's eyes widened. "Rose, what did she—" "She believed in me," I interrupted. "She saw what none of you did, that I had a vision worth pursuing. She gave me a start, but everything else I built myself." I turned back to them. Every family dinner, every holiday, I heard the same jokes. Still working at that little art shop, Sarah? When will you get a real job? Or, you could always come work for my company, Sarah. We need someone to sort the mail. Molin blushed. It had been her favorite line last Christmas. But now, I continued, you need my help. Now, I'm finally good enough. My father straightened, trying to sound logical. We can discuss the past later. Right now, let's talk about the mortgage, as your family. Stop right there. I pressed a button on my desk. A large screen lit up behind me, showing documents, bank statements, investment records, property deeds. This, I said, is everything. Every debt, every failed investment, every financial mistake. The total to fix it all, $2.4 million. Their faces shifted from shock to hope. My mother reached for my hand. I already have that amount set aside, I said. I've had it for years. Every time you struggled, I watched. I waited to see if you'd change. But you never did. You borrowed more, avoided responsibility, and pretended everything was fine. I sat back in my chair. Here's what's going to happen. I'll pay the debts. I'll save the house. I'll even create a trust to make sure you're secure. But there are conditions. My father opened his mouth, but I continued. First, Dad retires. No more risky ventures. Second, Molin closes her failing real estate business and goes back to school. You always wanted to teach before you were pressured into business. She looked stunned. Third, Mom finally starts that small bookstore she's dreamed of. I'll fund it. Tears filled her eyes. She'd given up that dream decades ago. And finally, I said, looking at each of them, we start weekly family therapy. All of us. Because money isn't the only thing that's broken here. My father tried to object, but my mother touched his arm. We'll do it, she said softly. All of it. I nodded and pressed another button. My assistant entered, carrying a stack of documents. Please make it official, I said. Debt clearance, the trust, the conditions, everything. Take them home, review, sign, and bring them back tomorrow. As they gathered their things, still dazed, I added quietly, Dad, remember what you said 10 years ago? About me crawling back when I failed? He looked at me, his expression heavy with regret. I never failed, I said. I just succeeded without you. They left silently, clutching the documents. From my window, I watched them drive away. My assistant entered with a cup of tea. She always knew when I needed one. You okay? She asked softly. I thought about the past decade, the sleepless nights, the relentless work, the quiet holidays spent alone. But I also remembered the resilience I discovered, the confidence I built, and the woman I've become. Yes, I replied, smiling faintly. I think I finally am. The next day, they came back with the signed documents. We began to rebuild, not just our finances, but our family. It wasn't simple. Years of anger and pain don't vanish instantly, but over time, we started to heal. My father apologized, something I never imagined would happen. My mother opened her bookstore, which soon became a cherished local spot. Molina returned to school and now teaches art to children. She's never been happier. As for me, I kept growing my business, but this time without hiding. No more pretending to be less than I am. Because true revenge isn't about making others feel small. It's about showing how much you can achieve without needing their approval. On my desk sits my grandmother's old jewelry box, a symbol of where it all began. Inside is one piece I never sold, a simple gold locket with her photo. On hard days, I open it and remember her words. True art isn't just about creating beauty. It's about finding value where others see nothing. She was right. And sometimes the most priceless thing you discover is your own worth. At least, that's what I believed. Until that Tuesday morning, I walked into my office and found my assistant pale, holding a thick envelope with trembling hands. "It came by regular mail, no return address," she whispered, stepping back as though it were dangerous. I closed the door and carefully opened it. Inside was an authenticated copy of my grandmother's will, but it wasn't the same one I'd seen 10 years ago. This version named my mother as the primary heir. For a moment, everything went silent. My heart pounded as I read and reread each line, searching for a mistake, a wrong date, a missing signature. But it was genuine. The seal, the handwriting, everything checked out. I immediately called my lawyer, the same one who'd managed my affairs from the start. He arrived within 40 minutes, examining the document under the light. "Sarah, this is legitimate," he said quietly. "But how? Grandma left everything to me. She gave me the key. She wrote that letter." He exhaled slowly. "Wills can be updated, and this one's dated 3 months before her death. It's newer." I turned toward the window, the gray clouds mirroring my emotions. "Can it be contested?" "It can," he replied. "But if the court accepts this as valid, then technically everything from that safe, including your company, belongs to your mother." My stomach tightened. Everything, the jewelry, the capital, the foundation of my entire life, could be taken. And suddenly, the past few weeks made sense. My mother's unexpected office visits, her forced smiles, the calls just to check in. She'd known all along. She waited until I'd cleared every family debt, until I'd let my guard down, then struck. I felt nauseous. I called Melina. "Sarah, are you okay?" she asked groggily. "Did you know?" I snapped. A long silence. "Melina, answer me." "She told me last week," she finally admitted. "I swore not to tell you. She said she just wanted what was rightfully hers. She waited 30 years. 30 years? I shouted. She never lifted a finger. She's only here now because of what I built." There was silence again, the worst kind. I hung up, shaking. My mother's actions weren't just betrayal. They were deliberate cruelty. She knew exactly how much this would destroy me. The next day, I received the first of many legal notices. My mother was suing me, demanding everything from the safe. She accused me of hiding assets and profiting from her inheritance. My lawyer was furious. "This is nonsense. You were the direct heir. Her letter proves it. She gave you the key, not your mother." But the damage was done. The next day, headlines exploded. Art Empire CEO accused of building fortune on stolen inheritance. My inbox flooded. Reporters, critics, investors, all demanding answers. And amid the chaos, a message appeared on my phone. "I didn't need to check the number. You always thought you were better than us, Sarah. Now you'll learn that family can't be buried so easily." It was my mother. The woman who once handed me the key to my dreams now wanted to tear everything from me. I sat alone that night, the envelope still on the table, her words echoing. "You always thought you were better than us." No, I never thought that. I just wanted to be myself. And now she wanted to punish me for it, for winning. The next morning, I arrived early at the office. I shut the blinds and began collecting evidence. Contracts, letters, transfer records, jewelry appraisals. Everything that proved Grandma gave it all to me while she was alive. I called my lawyer. "I don't just want to defend myself," I said. "I want to destroy her credibility before she destroys mine." He stared at me for a moment. then nodded. Then let's go to war. Our first move, a press conference. If she wanted to drag me through the mud, I'd bring her into the light. I presented digitized letters, recordings of conversations with Marcus Chen, the antiquarian my grandmother personally recommended, proving the box was given to me before her death. The media buzzed, but soon after, she struck again. She filed an injunction freezing my company's assets, claiming my entire business was built from stolen money. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was a full attack on my identity. Then came her lowest blow. She went on national TV. A prime-time interview. Tears, tissues, soft music, painting herself as the betrayed mother. She called me cold, selfish, ungrateful. I nearly vomited. I called Molina again. "You saw it?" I asked. "I did," she said. "She rehearsed everything, even the background music. Sarah, this is too much." "And what will you do?" I asked bitterly. "Stay quiet again?" "I don't know." I hung up. Within days, I began losing everything. Contracts, investors, partnerships. Emails stopped. Phones went silent. My reputation was bleeding out, one headline at a time. Then an email arrived. Subject: the recording. It was from Marcus Chen, an audio file of my mother trying to bribe him 2 months earlier. She wanted him to publicly claim the jewelry was donated to me by mistake. He refused, recorded it, and sent me the proof. I forwarded it to my lawyer. "We're suing her for defamation, fraud, and malicious litigation." He nodded, "Agree, let's do it." That day, I filed my own lawsuit. For the first time, I wasn't just defending, I was fighting back. The media turned. Doubt crept into her narrative. Then Molina called again, crying. "She used me, Sarah. She made me lie. I saw Grandma's letter. She knew it was yours. She burned the old version that said you were the only one with the vision to protect the family legacy." It hit me like a knife. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd destroyed evidence. That's when I knew she wasn't desperate. She was cruel. With new evidence, witnesses, and recordings, we filed a fresh petition. In court, I sat across from her. For the first time, she avoided my eyes because she knew she'd lost. After weeks, the judge finally spoke. Considering the documents, witness accounts, and evidence provided, this court confirms that Rose Harrison legally and consciously transferred her inheritance to the defendant, Sarah Harrison. Any further claim is baseless and opportunistic. He continued, "The plaintiff, Evelyn Harrison, is found guilty of malicious litigation, attempted fraud, and defamation. She is ordered to pay damages and permanently cease any future claims." My knees almost gave out. Relief flooded me like air after drowning. My mother left court with her face hidden, trailed by silent lawyers. Headlines changed. Words like manipulative and deceptive replaced betrayed mother. Outside, my father waited in his worn coat. She tried to smile at him. He turned away. That was the last time I saw her. She vanished afterward, sold everything, moved to a small town, worked quietly in a stationery store. Molina stayed. She apologized over and over, admitting how she'd been manipulated and blinded by our parents' expectations. She seemed genuinely remorseful. One day, I visited her. She welcomed me with a shy hug. "I was wrong about you," she said. "I know," I replied softly, "but I was wrong too, thinking you were like her." We talked for hours about our childhood, Grandma Rose, and the impossible standards we grew up under. And sitting there, drinking tea from chipped mugs, I realized maybe part of our family could still be saved. In the months that followed, I rebuilt everything. Harrison Fine Arts regained its prestige. I launched a Paris gallery. But something inside me changed. I no longer needed to prove anything. Sometimes I'd still open Grandma's locket. One day, I noticed faint engraving on the back of her photo. May you know when to fight and when to let go. I closed my eyes and felt tears fall. I had fought against pain, rejection, and expectations, and now I was learning to let go. Months later, a letter arrived. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Sarah, I don't ask for forgiveness. I know I went too far. Maybe one day you'll understand what it's like to grow old, feeling that life slipped away. You became everything I never could, and it destroyed me. Still, when I see your name in the papers, I feel proud, even if I don't deserve to say it aloud. Evelyn. I folded the letter and placed it beside Grandma's. Maybe I'll never forgive her. Maybe she'll never redeem herself. But now I have something she never did. Choice. And that's the real freedom I built. Alone, from nothing. With pain, with art, and with the power to see worth where no one else ever did.